on my Patreon.
So episodes with mostly competent villain plans have been on a roll lately, and that continues into today because this is the third episode in a row where our main antagonist is actually clever enough to pose a legitimate threat to our heroic trio. That's right, we've got our final Mojo Jojo-centric episode of the series, simply known as Mojo the Great. Alright, so we're starting this review out with a blatant lie. That's not a good sign. See, despite having great in the title, it's not exactly the most accurate or glamorous name for the episode, but we'll just have to make do. And yeah, Mojo only got 4 reboot episodes out of 120. That said, I see no other reason to stall, so without further ado, let's get this over with.
If you look out to your right, you'll see Mojo Jojo, one of Townsville's average supervillains.
Mojo the Great presents us with none other than a crime scene to start, where the main antagonist of the episode, Mojo, is seen attempting to wreak havoc and destruction on the poor city of Townsville. Unfortunately for him, as you just saw, the citizens don't really see him as a threat, and I wouldn't either, considering he never really succeeds at being evil in this show. Half the time he's just a stupid oaf who serves no purpose. Maybe if he were treated as the character he's supposed to be, we'd have more respect for him, but considering what he's been turned into by this reboot, it's no wonder people don't take him seriously. In come the Powerpuff Girls, still to perform their civic duty and take down Mojo's giant mech to keep everyone safe from his wretched destruction.
Surrender! Mojo doesn't know the meaning of the word!
You haven't been using the word-a-day calendar I got you?
Mojo was being facetious. See, Mojo is using the calendar.
If you can call it that. Oh, and this word-a-day calendar thing is the running gag of the episode, by the way. By utilizing Blossom's intelligence and strategy, Bubbles' cute charm, and Buttercup's brawn, the three of them successfully crush his lousy attempt at villainy. This sends Mojo packing back to his volcano lab where he heals in a hospital bed and watches the latest news broadcast, detailing his humiliating defeat at the hands of the Powerpuff Girls. Rage ensues as he loathes the girls for stopping him once again until he picks up on a few statements made by the broadcasters themselves.
The Powerpuff Girls sure are great, Bob.
Great is definitely the word I would use, Nick.
What do they have that Mojo does not?
Which he clearly feels insulted by. I mean, the dude's been called lame by pretty much everybody in the episode so far, and while he may take offense to this, it's not like they're wrong. Need I remind you of his behavior in Not So Secret Service? But those last lines they spoke do give him an idea that will allow him to change all of that. He quickly grabs his voice change-a-majig, and I'm sure you can infer what it's made to do, so he uses it to trick the girls into an ambush. And seriously, Mrs. Keen? This show couldn't even be bothered to get the name of their character right in the episode itself? Yeah, I know about the Professor Plutonium thing, I've mentioned it a few times across my videos, but that was a toy presentation that took place outside of the show. You could at least make the argument that the guy selling the toys wasn't working on the show itself and was just going off of what he was told by the people who actually wrote it. This is in the show itself. Miss Keen is established to be single. In fact, this gets brought up in the episode after next. Congratulations, Reboot, you once again found a new way to suck.
It is I, the mayor, calling you. It is definitely not someone else pretending to be me.
Good to know.
Alright, theory time. I am convinced that this part of the mayor's dialogue was Tom Kenny attempting to recapture the original Mojo's manner of speech. And here's why I say this. If you pay attention to the words that he just spoke, he clearly reinstated the same thing over and over again. Considering how Mojo is always written in this show with a third person thing, I have a hard time believing that his speech for the mayor was actually written with Molinglish in mind. I mean, if it was, why would they only do it for the mayor impression and not regular Mojo? You see what I'm saying? What is way more likely, and I'm almost convinced is what happened, is that it wasn't written out this way on the script. Tom Kenny instead decided to take it upon himself and improvise the Molinglish into his lines, and he deserves some credit there for that. I seriously appreciate it. It tells me that somebody cares, and it's from someone who worked on the original series no less, so like, he clearly knew what worked. But then Bubbles receives the phone call and lists off a bunch of villains that Mojo could possibly be referring to, such as...
It seems that your greatest foe is at it again.
Morbucks?
No,
Fuzzy Lumpkins?
no,
The Fashionistas? Path Rat? Manboy? The Gangrene Gang? The Amoeba Boys? Him? Silico? Allegra?
no!
Alright, so we got the biased first pick, a villain that's never gotten their own episode, a pair of villains and thus not capable of fulfilling the singular usage of the word nemesis, a rodent that we haven't seen for almost 80 episodes, a dude who's only shown up in 3 episodes, another group that has also never gotten their own episode, another group that has only gotten 1 episode to themselves, finally a viable answer to this question, another viable option but less viable than the previous one, and a villain that was absent for an entire season. Yeah, see, I get what this gag was going for, but who the fuck even knows who Fuzzy, the Gangrene Gang, or the Amoeba Boys are? I do as a veteran viewer, but this new series was made with a younger demographic in mind too, yet only the older crowd would be familiar with these characters because they never appear in the reboot. I am not convinced that this show was only made for a younger demographic, and I find that argument extremely invalid because of things like this. Regardless, he lures the girls to Ambush Alley, where he of course ambushes them, as if it wasn't obvious enough. And they wake up sometime later inside a glass prison that Buttercup is unable to smash her way out of.
This cell won't stop me from whopping your butt! What's this glass made of? Rocks?
In fact, all 3 of the girls are out of their element, as Blossom is an unintelligent nitwit and Bubbles is acting like a rowdy, disgusting, selfish prick that's also an unintelligent nitwit but not as unintelligent as Blossom is. Things have all gone according to Mojo's plan, as he reveals to the girls that he stole all of their great traits for himself. And while I do agree that Buttercup's brawn and Bubbles' cute charm are certainly great talents of theirs, Blossom's intelligence isn't what really defines her as great, because her other 2 sisters are just as smart, if not smarter, than she is. The whole Utonium family is just a bunch of nerds, like, she's not special. Heck, Blossom Cubed even proved her planning skills weren't all that great because they didn't even lead to success. She had to rely on her other 2 sisters. So what the hell even is Blossom's great trait supposed to be? Being annoying? That aside, Mojo attempts to gloat and get the girls to admit he's great now, but Buttercup ain't giving it to him. So, next we get a montage where he goes on a quick robbing spree to change her mind.
I'm an evil monkey and I'm super hunky. I'm doing some crime, taking what's mine.
Wow, that guy's adorable.
I'm doing some crime, robbing them blind. Checkmate.
Wow, he's so smart.
And it goes absolutely nowhere, so it's a complete waste of time. Not gonna lie, I originally wrote Killing Spree in my script by accident, and I was like, whoa there for a second, because this show would never come close to that. But still, it would have been so much better that way. His robbing spree is not enough to impress the girls, however, so Mojo resorts to phase 2 of his plan, flooding the entire city and bailing out of there so he can get revenge on all the people that made fun of him earlier. This causes some panic in Buttercup as she struggles to find a way to escape, but the other 2 sisters, who lost their intelligence, aren't worried at all. And can I just point out that Blossom and Bubbles are written to look like fools while Buttercup keeps all of her sanity in check and simply can't lift things? Gee, what a surprise! In the end, she tells Burly Bubbles that Bonehead Blossom doesn't think she can break the glass, so Burly Bubbles breaks the glass with Bonehead Blossom. And then the 3 of them rush to find Mojo as fast as they can before they all drown and everyone dies. So apparently being stupid or rude makes you forget you have super strength. Meanwhile, Mojo has been collecting animals because for some reason the episode felt like going for a Noah's Ark reference of all things. Seems a bit random and contradictory, especially with considering how the show wanted to stay away from acknowledging Christianity and You're a Good Man Mojo Jojo. But hey, either way the girls show up and tell him he's not great even with their abilities, so like an idiot he just zaps the girls' powers back to them and lets them win because the writing needed to favor the Powerpuff Girls at the very end. No fighting strategy, no attempts at tricking him into giving their powers back. He's just like,
You only beat us because you stole our powers.
What? Mojo doesn't need your powers to be great. Here, take him back.
fuck off. This of course means the Powerpuff Girls save the day in the end, and Mojo winds up in a hospital bed once more. Yeah, I'm unimpressed with this one. I mean, it's great and all that Mojo at least follows through with an evil scheme, but the sheer plot convenience of Mojo just giving the Powerpuff Girls their powers back sours the end result immeasurably. Not that the build-up was all that great either. I mean, it definitely had some potential, but it's tossed aside because the show couldn't come up with a better way to give the girls their powers back. I mean, they could have at least tricked him into giving them back, and no, what they did does not qualify as a trick, because all they did was show up and say, "You're not great." And then Mojo's just like, "Here, have your powers back." No, it doesn't work like that. At least when the fashionistas lost in worship, it was because of clever wordplay backfiring on them. Here, it just shits the bed. This episode isn't bad, it's more of a meh. Still, it sucks to see an episode with potential get wasted like this. Oh well.